Hold on tight, because the UK's economic outlook just got a whole lot murkier. A looming £20 billion black hole could be about to crash land into the Chancellor's upcoming budget, all thanks to stubbornly sluggish productivity. This isn't just pocket change, it could mean significant shifts in taxes, public spending, and government borrowing. So, what's behind this potential economic earthquake, and how might it impact your wallet? The culprit? Persistent underperformance in the UK's productivity, essentially, how much the economy produces for every hour worked. The Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, the government's independent forecasting body, is about to deliver its final draft forecast to the Treasury. And according to sources, it paints a less than rosy picture. The BBC understands that the productivity downgrade alone could blow a £20 billion gap in the public finances. Now, you might be wondering, why does productivity matter so much? Well, it's the cornerstone of long-term economic growth. Think of it like this: if everyone becomes even slightly more efficient at their jobs, the overall economy booms. And this is the part most people miss. Even a tiny fraction of a percentage point change in productivity assumptions can drastically alter how much money the government needs to raise. This is because future tax revenues are based on how much the economy is forecast to grow. If the economy is forecast to grow less, then future tax revenues will be lower too. The OBR had previously hoped for a rebound in productivity growth, but that bounce hasn't materialized. They are now understood to have downgraded their forecast by 0.3 percentage points, bringing their assumptions more in line with the Bank of England's more cautious outlook. The Financial Times first reported this figure. But here's where it gets controversial. The Institute for Fiscal Studies, IFS, a leading economic think tank, estimates that every 0.1 percentage point downgrade in productivity adds a whopping £7 billion to public sector net borrowing by 2029 to 30. Do the math, and that 0.3 point cut could balloon the budget deficit by £21 billion. An initial gap of some £20 billion, rather than the £10 to £14 billion widely anticipated. So, how could the Chancellor fill this massive hole? The options are limited and potentially painful. Hiking taxes: this could mean raising income tax, corporation tax, or VAT, directly impacting individuals and businesses. But is it fair to ask people to pay more when productivity is the underlying issue? Cutting public spending: this could involve reducing funding for essential services like healthcare, education, or infrastructure. But could this damage the UK's long-term economic prospects? Increasing government borrowing: this would push the national debt even higher, potentially creating problems for future generations. Is it right to pass the burden of today's problems onto future taxpayers? Chancellor Rachel Reeves herself admitted that the OBR was likely to downgrade productivity, which has been very poor since the financial crisis and Brexit. It's clear that she's bracing for impact. Some ministers are privately grumbling that if the OBR had made this downgrade earlier, different decisions might have been made during the summer spending review. But what's done is done, and the focus now shifts to the autumn budget. Of course, there are other factors at play. Falling interest rates and government debt could provide some relief. However, other pressures, like U-turns on welfare spending and the desire to build a larger buffer in public finances, suggest that significant tax increases may be on the horizon. Some speculate this could even involve breaking manifesto commitments, such as those related to income tax. The Treasury will be informing the OBR of its first draft budget measures next week. Ultimately, the Chancellor faces a tough balancing act. She needs to address the gaping hole in the public finances while also trying to stimulate long-term economic growth. It's a challenge that will require difficult decisions and potentially unpopular choices. What do you think the Chancellor should do? Should she prioritize tax increases, spending cuts, or increased borrowing? And more importantly, what steps can be taken to finally boost the UK's productivity and secure a more prosperous future? Let your voice be heard in the comments below.